Welcome to a new episode of DevSecOps Talks with me, Matthias. Yay! It's much easier today, like to say the name in the right order.
Yes, it's only two of us, but we're still missing you, Paulina.
Yeah, we are. Get better.
Exactly.
And today we're doing one of the things that we usually do, right? A little bit over time.
Yes. I think it's fine. Reinvent happened in December.
Yeah.
Else, usually AWS releases a lot of stuff in November, like pre-reinvent, and then during the reinvent they will release. So there were like more than 500 releases overall. Some of them GA, some of them public preview, but it's a lot. And usually after the reinvent, you would have a couple of months people doing the reinvent recaps, like in the meetup user groups and stuff like that. We at 5XL actually had a webinar last month doing reinvent recap from the 5XL perspective. Today we do the DevSecOps talks version of reinvent recap. Actually, while preparing for it, I saw that like we are DevSecOps, right? So it's supposed to be covering development part, security, and operational part, but no luck, guy, for you. I mean, no luck for you guys because the selection of the announcements smells more like security only. Yeah, sorry about that. If security is your thing, stay tuned in. If it's not really, well, it's still interesting, but I'm just trying to manage your possible disappointment here.
Did you get any good questions from the webinar for 5 stars?
Oh, there were some, yes, but I'm not prepared to this question.
Okay.
To answer it. So now I do remember now. Yeah, there was some discussions about the AI. So obviously, like AI is everywhere nowadays. And what we did for the webinar, we asked people to prioritize areas like compute, AI, security, networking, like what the areas are most interesting for them. Obviously, AI came first, so we've been discussing that quite a bit. And then people were discussing the S3 vectors, just like S3 flavor, where you can store your vectors, and like the vectors is the representation of information used by LLMs. As a backbone for your RAGs, which is like super cost efficient, but you don't have the hybrid search results. But still, it's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Well, shall we? We do have quite a bit of stuff to cover, so I suggest we start our rapid fire session of things. We start with VPC encryption control for Amazon VPC. Audit and enforce encryption and transit within and across virtual private cloud. I think, Matthias, you should be taking note about this one because that's kind of very useful.
Yeah.
If you ever tried to verify that you're actually encrypting the traffic that you're supposed to be encrypting, it's actually not that easy because like you need to deploy the instance or set up the traffic mirroring session to the instance and sniff the traffic, like Wireshark it, make sure that you cannot decrypt the body. It's a pain in the back, and then when you need to prove to the people that you are compliant, this feature comes in very handy. And it's a GA, that was a pre-invent announcement. So you can now actually enable that to enforce encryption. You can either monitor or you can enforce encryption within you.
Yeah, and I think this is coming more and more. You can see the compliant. In the beginning, it was just like encrypted over public endpoints, right? But now it's coming more and more encrypt data everywhere, and that include the VPC.
Yeah, so a lot of people do like the encryption towards the load balancer. Then they would offload SSL and load balancer, and then from load balancer, traffic would go to the targets and encrypted, which poses security risk. But this kind, like you might think you actually fixed all of it, but how do you know? This feature can help you to spot the issues. So be aware, use it, super duper useful. I don't think it's being spoken enough about. Post-quantum key exchange and ILB and NLB. So
this sounds interesting.
It's been like pretty much all the services they mentioned. So like the private CA now supports post-quantum ciphers. The S3 now supports ILB and NLB. So like most of the places that you can think of or on AWS now support post-quantum encryption.
What does it mean, right?
Yeah, basically there is a belief that when we have operational quantum computers, they will be powerful enough to break current encryption standards. That's why a lot of state agencies today just record encrypted traffic, save it. Yeah, just basically record everything, save it, hoping that they will be able to decrypt it later when the when the quantum technology comes online. And it looks like it's closer than ever. Like there was like a multiple news that is kind of around the corner already. So that allows you to protect yourself today. So just go ahead, enable it everywhere to make sure that like if someone collects your traffic, you're staying safe.
If you're using any sensitive data, right, you need to enable this. And if your data is transferring over public internet.
Yes. You have attribute-based access control ABAC for S3, which is great. Was missing, but you need to enable it per market basis, which is not great. I would prefer it would be on everywhere, but obviously it will break. If they would just switch it on, that will break a lot of security models. So like you have to enable it bucket by bucket. But that basically allows you to control access to your buckets, like on attributes like tags, for instance.
Yeah.
If they're all tagged with a certain tag and the bucket's tagged with a certain tag, then you can access. If not, then no. And that kind of allows you to do stars, so you don't need to guess all the actions that needs to be accessed, but like you can scope it down using the attributes. So very powerful when it works. Now it does for the S3. Then they have air-gapped AWS backup vault as a primary. So now you can do the backup to air-gapped AWS backup. If a ransomware is on your list of threats, then that might be something that your compliance officer might appreciate, or ransomware people will not appreciate.
Yeah. AWS backup. It's if you're running AWS and don't have AWS backup, you should enable it for ransomware or any kind of data that you want to keep, right?
Yeah.
Show it over to AWS and let them manage it, and don't have it in your own environment. If something happens,
exactly. Or have a separate account where your backup lives on AWS. So, like, if someone breached your workload account, they cannot access the backup. There is also KMS CMK for air-gapped AWS backup vault, so you can encrypt those vaults, backup vaults with your customer managed key for better policy for more flexibility and other security benefits. Another thing when it comes to storage, which I think people don't talk enough, is Amazon S3 block public access now support organization level enforcement. So Amazon S3 block public access is things that they first introduced on the S3 level. So you can say like, whatever people do here, stuff in this bucket cannot be public. Then they introduced account level control, so you can make all the buckets, like even people if even they enable ACL, try to make bucket public, they will not be able to do it if you block on account level. Now you can do it to the whole organization. I would say it's a well overdue feature. I wish it would existed long ago. And in 2026, there is no good reason to have public S3 bucket. And just this is one of the things that you just go turn it on, forget about it. You're never getting on the list on those people who just leave the public S3 bucket. Because now it's impossible to do. Now you have managed image signing for Amazon ECR. You can now there is a managed service for signing images, which is great.
This is super.
It requires AWS signer availability in your region. So check that. Dynamic data masking in Aurora Postgres SQL. So now you can configure the PSQL feature that could mask the data in certain column, and when people query those columns, then they will not get the actual data, but they will get masked data.
It's super heavy. And this is featured other databases, like Snowflake had it before. Like you can query it, but then it masks different values, so you don't get the PHA data. Super handy. And if you like have other companies integrate with you, they can also use the same database.
Yeah, people say like with this feature you can use your production data for testing. Maybe don't do that.
No, I don't do that. But it's way more better to use for developing and other things as well. And you can mask on a database level, so it won't leak, right? Sometimes data just leaks from the API to the front end, and then you have it there. Like, this is perfect. Just lock it down in a database, make sure that the table are locked.
Right. Then there is GVT verification in AWS ILB, service machine to machine and service to service communication. So secure machine to machine and service to service communication. Basically, before that, you would need to roll your own Lambda to do GVT verification in ILB. Now it's supported out of the box. Go do that.
Yeah.
Drop your Lambda. There is AWS Network Firewall Proxy. Efficiently manage and secure web and internet traffic. This is public preview. I haven't looked into that. I cannot tell you what this exactly. But my understanding that you used to have like a NAT gateway, like an inspection, like you would have the network firewall in front of your NAT gateways, so you can inspect the outgoing traffic. It feels like you could also use it now for the corporate data centers, like the traffic that would go through the direct connect and stuff like that. I'm not. That's my read of this. I haven't looked into it. So if you're running the complicated or like complex advanced networks, that might be for you. Not exactly security related, but Matthias asked to leave something out that would be useful for developers. The REST API streaming and Amazon API gateway.
Yeah.
That basically allows progressive response payload streaming capability, which where would you might need that? Think twice. LLMs. So basically, if you're streaming the responses from LLMs, API gateway can do it for you now. They also announced that for Lambdas, and there was like a lot of stuff around LLM support in different compute services.
But you need probably to ship a lot of data now, and streaming them is a perfect way of just streaming data to the client. Right? So good that it's supported now. Right. Getting more and more data. It's not like before you just loaded a JSON with 200 kilobytes and then you're done. But now the data, you need streaming.
Talking about data, there is unified management and CloudWatch, unified data management and analytics for operations, security, and compliance.
Wow.
Amazon CloudWatch now provides unified management for operational security and compliance data across AWS and third-party sources.
Yeah.
In my understanding, you could configure data sources and now view everything in one place, cross accounts, so you don't need to roll your solutions where you aggregate logs like through Lambdas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Assuming you're ready to pay the price for CloudWatch data ingest.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna be expensive if you're doing anything. I mean, like I think it's like 10 cents per gigabyte.
Wow.
And like if you like all those access logs, they generate a huge volume of data. Yeah, could be cool, but if you have deep pockets, maybe. Public preview of AWS MCP server.
Yeah.
When did we leave this one?
Because I've seen a lot of MCP server, people just open it and they get hacked. And it's nice that AWS has a way now to deploy MCP servers more.
Right. So basically, AWS having an interesting approach. They are not. It's a public preview, so it will change, and it's already changing because it is not the MCP servers you used to have. Like you would usually have MCP servers that running locally, and then it will proxy your calls. It will translate LLM requests to the API calls and send it. to the server plus manage authentication. So this is different actually. AWS gives you the API point that would like you call it to do MCP kind of action. So like through those remote MCP server, your agent can interact with AWS, and that's running on AWS side, which is interesting. They have the similar MCP server now, like with AWS knowledge that you can call remotely. You don't need to host anything local. You just call in the remote URL, and then the question answer will be streamed to you. But with this one, for instance, when they just rolled it out, you needed to have a separate IAM permission to call MCP server. And then you also need a permission to perform the action that MCP server. It's kind of hairy on IAM side. They're trying to streamline it right now. But be aware, it's available if you're building anything around that. You have delete protection floating CloudWatch. Useful stuff to have. You now have dedicated controls for AWS Control Tower. Apply AWS Managed Controls without full AWS Control Tower deployment, which means that you can use Control Tower guardrails without like rolling everything to the Control Tower. AWS Cloud Trail Insights for data events, identify and respond to unusual activities associated with the data plane events. So like if you're logging the data events in Cloud Trail, which means that you have it in pockets, now you can have insights on those data events. Required tags for organization stack policy. So that's quite cool as well. So now you could require the tags being applied on resources when they are created. So that's useful. Billing transfer for AWS organization. That's kind of interesting. So if you're running multiple AWS organizations, you can now transfer billing to one organization and aggregate them together. I believe that will be used by AWS resellers. So I think that feature is mostly towards AWS resellers. So if you have multiple AWS organizations, pay attention. Automatic enrollment in AWS Control Tower. I mean, like you would expect it would be there already, but not nowadays.
That's good. I mean, everybody should use Control Tower.
Yeah, it is useful. So AWS, there is a public preview of AWS Security Agent. They also have like DevOps Agent that they did quite a bit of fuss of during the reInvent. I haven't heard about people using those. So, but it's available. Supposed to be helping with your security posture. Extended threat detection for EC2 and ECS. Like Guard Duty now uses AI-powered analysis of stuff that's going on in EC2 and ECS. So if you don't have the IDS, which is intrusion detection system, enabled, or go enable Guard Duty, because it's a good gap stopper, just gives you something that works out of the box with all your services with the minimum setup needed. And eventually, if you feel that Guard Duty is just too noisy, which it would be, or you need something more sophisticated, then you can be great. But for now, just have Guard Duty enabled. They have AWS login command now. It's like the CLI command, part of the AWS CLI. Which kind of allows you to work around the fact that you need. Basically, if you don't have AWS SSO configured, Identity Center, that's kind of short-lived credentials for IAM users in my understanding.
Okay.
I'm not really sure if you even should be using IAM users. Like, go do yourself IAM SSO and forget about it. But it's available if you don't have. I mean, like AWS login is probably a better alternative to just storing your static IAM credentials locally. You have AWS IAM outbound identity federation. Securely federate AWS identities to external services via JSON Web Token JWT. In my understanding, that you can now use like AWS identity in other platforms. That's like my understanding of it. So if you build on AWS,
add something from external party, you can use your identity. as we do when we like connect like GitHub or other services with.
Yes. There is malware protection for AWS backup. Amazon Core Duty malware protection extends support with AWS backup artifacts, so it kind of can store can scan your backups. Post-quantum certificates in AWS Private CA, we mentioned that. And what they use is support for module lattice-based digital signature algorithm, MLDSA. So that's what they use. And also we have Amazon Inspector supports organization-wide management, which is great. AWS Secret Manager announces managed external secrets, which is also very useful. Google that. AWS AM launches AWS Source VPC ARM condition key, like if you're doing the ABAC, so that's like super duper useful as well. So you can like say like if the request comes from that VPC, then allow it. And that's kind of wraps up the selection of the announcements. So I think we did like 20, 30 of 500. But I feel like those are actionable if you care about security, and that's something that you could start using today, because most of them, well, not most of them, but like many of them, I just go turn it on and forget about it.
I think last time we talked about, there was some other feature that you can also block as free public access. It was another feature that they had last year, and then we said like turn this on. You should never have public S3 buckets, and now it's even easier to like restrict them. That's one of the key takes away here. And then post-quantum keys, like enable those if you have any sensitive data sending. Just enable
like VPC encryption.
All VPC encryption. If you do any kind of serious with security, you should enable that.
So a lot of good stuff as usual, like coming from reInvent. Many things are becoming easier, which is nice.
It's a lot of things. It's nice and adding more and more. It feels like they're adding more and more security feature to detect, right? I like the detection part, right? I read something like you cannot really. Something's gonna happen, right, in your environment, right? What you can control is like how you react when it's gonna happen, right? That you can control, right? And detection is like really where I put effort. And you see here all the features that AWS is announcing is to like Inspector, Security Agent, more CloudTrail, more of these tools, right, to really see, and all the things for easy to like to detect things in your cloud environment and alert you on it. And I think you should enable as many as possible.
I do agree. If you build an AWS, like if you are a startup, for instance, building an AWS, and if you are in an area where compliance is important, it's quite easy to get it working on AWS. There are all the blocks and tools available for you to do the right things. Some easy. Just need to be aware of those, because AWS has like tons of the services, and it's quite hard to know what is there, what's not. But you stay tuned to our podcast, and we'll keep you up to date.
But that also changed. I mean, I remember the first AWS summit. Then it was only like education, right? They're like, the problem that we have is that we have so much stuff, and people need to know about how they should do stuff. But then it went to like serverless, and then AI, of course, come in, right? Maybe AI can help here as well to make sure.
No, you know what? I'll tell you something today. I was planning to keep it under the rug for maybe a couple of weeks before we bring in the podcast.
Sorry for poking.
But yeah, so Matthias is kind of exposed to the one of the project of mine that like the Boris thing.
Yeah.
That's like the baby company we are building. So like if you go to getboris.ai, you will see what we're talking about. So Matthias got the possibility to actually use it. And this weekend, what I was building is, so AWS has a RSS feed, right? Where they constantly publish those announcements. Like every day there will be something. And then us, as AWS consultant, that's something they read every day. And then like I think, what would be useful for my customers? Because like then like I'm applying the pattern matching of knowing what my customer use and like does it apply or not. So what the new features that like we're gonna be rolling this week is like the Boris also reads now the RSS, and then it knows what it had, what you have on your AWS organization, how you use it, and then it will send like the digest, say like, you know what, there was like those announcements that are relevant for your organization, and this is how you use it, and this is where you're gonna benefit.
This is brilliant, Andre. This is brilliant.
Yeah. So
when you talk about security and what it can do there as well, it's the same things, right? You get tons of like news.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as we talk about Boris, like if you're mentioning it, actually there is a hot off the press. So today is March 2nd. I guess tomorrow it's going to go public, but we already accepted. So like we've been chosen to the Boris project was chosen and accepted to the Technopol AI Accelerator. That's AI accelerator in Tallinn, Estonia. So the company is incorporated in Estonia, so like it's a natural choice to go with the Technopol. And that was like selected from more than 100 companies to join this batch of the AI accelerator. So there will be more news coming out of it. And we should just have another episode on the Boris because now it's kind of out of the stealth mode. So I will be talking more about that coming forward.
Looking forward to that, and congrats to being a part of that project.
Yeah, quite exciting.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that was enough for today.
It was a lot of news, and good that we mentioned Boris as well. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yes, stay in touch, and we hear each other soon. Bye-bye.
You have been listened to DevSecOps Talks with Matthias, Andre, and Paulina. For notes and information, please visit devsecops.fm. Thanks for tuning in.